Hey,
Okay, I think you need to make me a co-host so I can share my screen.
yes, sir. Um, hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Bob Patel with Century 21 Jordan Link. And what we decided to do today is do a Moxie 101 basics training on Moxie Present. So I have Matsunami, who is my counterpart from my Fresno office, doing most of the training today because he is actually a selling real estate agent compared to me. I don't sell real estate, so I understand the marketing part of it, but how to use the tools actually as a real estate agent. So I'm going to pass it on to Mitch, and Mitch, take it away.
Bob, could you give me like 1 minute? I forgot to get the big screen up for the people in the office. I was too busy looking at you guys.
So while we're hanging there, so thank you everybody. If you can, put in the chat where you're located, that would really help. I am located in Visalia, California, which is in the Central Valley in California. And then out of curiosity, how many of you are going to be going to Elevate 21 in July? The reason why I'm asking is Mitch and myself, we will be at Elevate 21 in July in Orlando, and we're actually flying in on Saturday because for us to fly in on Sunday, we'll get there 6 p.m., probably around 7 p.m., and then the event starts Monday. So we're flying in the day before so we can have time to prep, time to mingle, time to meet people. So if you're going to be there, please stop by and say hi. That'd be amazing.
All right, sorry about that, guys. I forgot. I was prepping my presentation. I forgot to set up the TV for the office, so sorry, guys. All right, Bob, you ready for me to share?
Yes, sir. Take it away.
Okay, we'll do. All right, good morning, everybody. Real quick, my name's Matsunami, and I carry Bob's laptop around when we travel around doing any kind of presentations or anything like that. Normally, I'm the guy that handles your chat, but today Bob wanted to throw a little bit more of a real estate spin on it. So I'm going to walk you guys through the Moxie Present, which happens to be my favorite part of Moxie Works. I mean, you can throw out all the rest. There's some alternatives for it. Well, I take that back. The website's pretty incredible too. But Moxie Present is my favorite part of the app, and it's probably one of the things that I find is most beneficial as a real estate in general. Um, Background really quick. I've been in real estate for about 33 years. I've done traditional real estate. I specialized in foreclosures, so like pricing properties is my forte. And I've dabbled in ag, commercial, and even small business. So I've got pretty wide variety of things that I've done. Okay, we're all up there. Okay, real quick. I know you guys all know how to log into 21 online, so I skipped that portion of it. And then we're going to work our way to the Moxie Works, which is getting on the hamburger menu, going down to the Productivity Hub, and everything in the Productivity Hub is done in alphabetical order. So you're going to go to Moxie Present, which is under M, and we're just going to go there. If you check the heart box over here, it will also add it to your favorites on the side. So just a real quick pointer. So let's go to Moxie Present and get this started for you guys. This literally is probably going to be like one of the shortest presentations for Moxie Present you could possibly do because Bob wanted to keep it very simple. And the simplest way to do it is to use the Century 21 template, which is a culmination of their PDFs. And those PDFs were originated, man, probably about 10 years ago. And they called it the Toolkit CMA, which was like kind of a slide deck, but they usually made it like something that you would hand out in a paper format. Since then, they've kind of upgraded all the slides, made them landscape, more of a horizontal twist so that you can put it on an iPad or it'll fill up your screen on a computer. The best presentations are done in-house if you can do it like on your computer screen so that you can sit next to your seller. I've actually done it with an iPad sitting next to him. It's kind of funny because you're both kind of huddling around this little screen, but I mean, there's ways to do it that can help you out. But anyway, we're gonna move to present, and I'm gonna actually start from scratch. Okay, so from the present window, we're going to create a new presentation. So we're just going to go up to the top. I'm going to do a seller presentation. I've already picked out a property for you guys and hit continue. And I have a bunch of templates saved under my own style, but Bob wanted to keep this as simple as possible since this is kind of a 101 training. So we're going to jump down to the Century 21 parent company templates, okay? And they've got this new Spanish presentation, which is really cool. But the one that I want to show you guys is this 36-page one, this residential seller presentation. I know you're probably thinking like 36 pages is a lot of pages, right? You know, for you to be sitting there, but it's really just kind of to guide you in setting up your, presentation for this property and how to showcase your style and your marketing and everything like that. So you don't have to have them all in there, but this is the simplest way to get started. So we're just going to hit that, hit continue. I'm going to make this for myself. And all you have to do is hit create, give it a second or two because it usually takes a second or two for the information to kind of get uploaded. Actually, very quick today. And then we're just going to start from here. I already picked out like a property photo and everything. It doesn't necessarily need to be in this one, so I'm just going to leave it out. But this is where you would go to browse and then just pick up the property and put it in there. We are going to use this by address. So I'm going to type in the address, which is 254 North Fisher Avenue, and that is in Fresno, CA 93710. And this is actually a property that belongs to my dad. And you would go along and fill in as much information as you could. The more information that you place in here will actually show up on the property profile of the property. So this is and so the more information you place in there, the better it'll turn out. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly if you guys will bear with me, and we'll be done with this pretty quickly. Some of these fields you can just add a number. I don't know why the bathroom is set up in this format and everything, but I guess they're looking for something more specific. 1509, the lot size is 6,300, and we're going to do by square foot. Year built, 1963, and the rest of the information we can pretty much leave out. Just as an example, I'm just going to fill out some of this information, uh, just so that you'll know where it comes out at. And then I was going to probably go through a little bit of technique on pricing the property because there's some information. I don't know if it translates to everybody in the United States, but it should. It's just some appraisal tips if you guys don't mind. We are doing present today. Okay, so that's all the information. Under the remarks part, on if it's a client that I haven't met before, usually, we'll interview on the phone before we meet or before I send them a presentation. Usually what I'll do is I'll take notes and under the remarks portion of it, I will write in all the information that they gave me about the property. Not so much the reasoning why they're selling and things like that, but any kind of upgrades, why they like the property, things like that. I'll try to put that in the remarks so they know that I was paying attention to them. And then at the end, we're going to go ahead and hit continue. Bob, did you want me to jump over to the pages or did you want me to walk through the actual pulling of the information?
Walk through the whole thing, please.
Okay. All right. This property, although it's not centered in on this presentation, usually you'll see a little star where the property's at is actually right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a radius search, and it's actually right here, the Fisher property. And I'm going to pull that out to when you start pulling it out, what it'll do is it will kind of give you a visual representation. Once you hit the click, then it'll show you the distance away. So we're about a mile away from the property, which is kind of far, but I'll show you how to reduce that down. After we get that information down, we're going to hit run search, and then it's going to show you what falls within that radius of the property. When they line up the properties on the left side right here, they're going to be the closest ones to the subject property, which is the center. And you can see how they're kind of, yeah, showing up with all the pricing and whatnot. In a traditional appraisal, you're going to try to choose the best three active properties and the best three sold properties. So this one right here on Fairmont is in pretty close proximity. I actually know they're the same build, so I'm going to choose that one. This one on San Jose is actually just down the street, so I'm going to choose that one. And that one's already, oh, that one's been canceled. Now let's keep that one anyway. There's another one on San Jose. Hopefully it's not the same property. Actually, it is the same property. So let me actually cancel that out. We'll add that one in. Another active, another sold. And how many is that? One, two, three. And we got two solds, 370, 379. Could have swore there was one that was really low, like 360. And there's one for really high that's, I think, like four in the fours, but I think, well, I guess that's not it anymore. Okay, so we've got three souls and three actives. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this down a little bit more. So we're going to look for the single family homes that are within the last 3 months. I don't think I need to see the coming soons, the off markets. We do want to see the pendings, contingents, any expireds, and these others I don't think we need to see. And then under the square footage, this is just giving you kind of a 200 up or down on the subject property. Our subject square footage is 1,509 square feet. And the way the appraisers do it, and this is an app that I can send you. If you guys like, I'll put it in the chat. I use this all the time. It's kind of a nice cheat that you can use for yourselves. It's called the Add Subtract Percentage app. And what it does is you can just save it to your favorites. And if you're going to be doing a lot of CMAs like I used to, you can put in the square footage and tell it what percentage you would like. That way it does the math for you very quickly. So the largest home that I can compare mine to within 20% GLA is 1,810 square feet. So it actually makes a difference when you do when you do the math. 18, what did I say was 1873? Oh, 1810. Okay. 1810. And then the smallest home that we're going to be comparing it to after you hit the minus is 1207. So you see the difference in square footage that you could have been using 1207. Okay. And then we're going to hit apply. So that really didn't change too much of our information. There is this one. This is that one I was telling you about. This property is actually quite a bit more upgraded than the others, but the pricing doesn't really fit the properties that are in this area. This one on Kalish, though, this one's also up there in price. And while you're doing your comps, and the best thing to do, I just picked a bunch really quickly just for the sake of doing this presentation. You should go into the details, kind of read through the information, check out the photography to see how your property stacks. And then also check out how your property stacks against the highest and the lowest properties. I mean, this house is in okay condition. And if they were able to net, what was that, 430, I think is what we were looking at. That seems a little bit on the higher side, but it's a 4 and 3. Ours is a 4 and 2. And I think that one that was up there is a 3 and 2. So I'm thinking that that's a little bit high, and it has been on the market quite a while. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to skip down to what's most important. So we've chosen our homes, and now what you would want to do is reorder these so that they make more sense like an appraisal is. So what I usually do is I order them from active to sold, which is going to reorder all the properties from the active ones first, and then to the solds, kind of like an appraisal. And then I'm going to add the next field, which is pricing the properties also from low to high, which is exactly the same way that an appraisal is also done. So when you start out, you're going to look at the lowest price property, working your way up to the highest. Same thing with the solds, just like an appraisal. You can make adjustments pre-presentation if you like, to kind of zero in on a more exact price. But since like in this particular case, this would probably be like my first meeting with the owners. I usually give them a range, and the range normally would be the lowest comp to the highest comp. And that's how I design my presentations for um, the initial meeting. So I'm going to continue. It's already lined all the information up on the side. And then this is where the Moxie Present gives you kind of a market value. And this is where I will go and change that to the high and the low, which I think it was originally when I did this comp, it was like 360, but let's say from 370 all the way up to 430, because there is one that's a little bit overpriced. And you don't want to be hiding it from your clients. You just want to point it out and then show the significance of, why that property may have been on the market too long. Under the remarks, I'll usually type in a canned response that, your property would maybe higher or lower or even exceed this price, depending on how your property condition, amenities, and updates, stack up. There's verbiage for it, but I'm sorry, I didn't. I should have copied that on there. And then we finally get to the pages portion of it. Um, these are the Century 21 pages that are preset, kind of like the Toolkit CMA was originally. And I'm gonna walk through this one page at a time, if that's what you'd want, Bob, or did you want to add something first?
Yeah, I was hoping you would just do the regular 12-page presentation and then show them how to add the pages, but you're fine.
Oh no. Okay, well, I'll show you what they look like, how to maneuver through them, how to move them around. And then what we can do is just omit the ones that you probably wouldn't use. There's a whole bunch that I wouldn't use in this presentation. Uh, the first page is just, the seller presentation plan. These are all done in horizontal landscape fashion. And the pages kind of describe how you want to do your verbal presentation with the client. These are a little bit too simple for me. I normally would rather have like the property description, like the property summary there. So what you can do on these pages, like the property summary, which is where the photo would go, the description of the property, and everything, you can move that property summary up in the presentation like that, just dragging it up and keep going, keep going. Wow, there are a lot of pages. I take that back. Oh, come on, page. Okay, I'm going to just place it right here. We're going to move it up. Oops. Okay, so after the presentation page, seller presentation. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So after the main page, we're going to have the property summary. And that's normally how I would start my presentation. Hey, Mitz Matsunami, talk about myself a little bit. And then we go into the data about the property. This is the information that I've pulled from the tax record. Here's a photograph of the property. From Bob likes to say that, you should drive by the property take the live photo, put it into the presentation rather than doing like a screenshot from Google Earth or anything like that. So that's wise. And then you can go over the details, look at the square footage, remind them about the stats of the property. This is where you get into those conversations where, our property is not that small. Ours is actually 2,000 square feet. Then you can have those discussions about additions or any kind of discrepancies in the tax, or if they had any problems with escrow or anything like that. So that's definitely where that would go. And then underneath here would be the comment area where if you had any conversations about the property, remember I was telling you how you would insert, any upgrades or anything like that, that would all go on this page as well. So you can kind of detail to them, hey, this is what you said in our previous conversation. So we've already gone through this slide. It's kind of just the process. If you like to have a more simplistic presentation where you can say, hey, this is our, we're going to be marketing pricing, the positioning, and taking you to contract. It's a very simplistic thing. If you want to take it out, you can just hit the button on the side and remove it. And then it's out of your presentation. You can go to the next slide. In these slides, this one's a little different than the Toolkit CMA, but it's reminding you to ask the right questions. What's your motivation? What's important when you sell this property? And what's your ideal time frame? Very important questions, Michael Gutierrez does a masterclass on Mondays, and he's all about the proper questioning and everything. If you don't like this one, you can make your own and slide it in there. These are all just PDFs. So, if there's something that you wanted to add in there, you can hit Add Page, and you can do a Create New, and you can choose to build the page like Bob showed you guys last week, or you can just upload a PDF from a page. And I think that's probably what Bob was probably alluding that you wanted us to do this week, right? Is kind of pull one from the menu. Was that right, Bob?
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's basically how we go about it. I'm I like the Century 21 centric ones. Showcasing your home, this is a great data page, but it's so teeny that it's going to be hard for you to show this and present this to the client. That's more like something that you might send them as a page for them to fill out. And so I would probably omit that one as well. I love these Century 21 pages. The one that they used to have had four different panes about uh, our satisfaction rating, the most recognized name in real estate, 50 years in the business. I think the other data that they used to have on there was how many countries we were in. I think it was 85. The number of offices that we had, which was like, I think it was like 10 or 11,000. And then they actually had a number of how many real estate agents that they had, but it kept changing so fast and so dramatically. I think they had to take that information out. And Bob knows. I mean, Bob's done websites for all the different offices and everything. There's probably about 60, 70 different franchises that have, changed to the Century 21 brand. So it's moving pretty quickly. Okay, these are like just kind of topic header pages. If you look through the ad pages, there's a lot of just little headings that you can add into your presentation just to start off whatever the information is that you're doing next. So this talks about the Century 21 website and how many views we get per month. Supposedly, it's the number one when it comes to individual real estate companies' websites, unlike Zillow or any of those other places. So I think it's supposed to be one of the top. So you want to make sure that you let the sellers know. They want to know that you got all the bases covered as far as the internet, photography, technology, social media, which we do. So it's very wise of Century to want to put those information in there. There's a favorite slide I have. They've kind of changed it. Um, Now this is talking about Boost actually, digital ad campaigns, promotions, all this information. Boost is one of the tools that we have in the oh gosh, what is that called again? Bob, I always forget it, man.
Productivity Hub.
Exactly. And it's one of the coolest tools that we have. You may have a huge social media presence, hundreds of people or whatnot, but the Boost program actually puts people that are in a certain location and price range together with different locations that they may be perusing in the internet. So, someone that's buying $1 million home may be interested in car racing or something like that. So that home may be showcased in different groups and places that, interest those types of buyers. I've actually seen it because I had a property in the Tower District and it showed up on this lady's, I think it was like salsa dancing class group. And she goes, "Oh, that's a nice property." She clicked on it. Her boyfriend called me. She goes, "Hey, this is a property that you had listed, man." And it showed up on my girlfriend's, page. So it does work. So, however it works. Um, the next slide is probably one of the most important ones. It talks about professional photography, and that really is the number one. And I was having a conversation with Juan Carlos. Bob knows him. He's the photographer that we have in-house. So much of what we do in our marketing, I know the property is what, it's important to get all the data and information. The photographer makes it all look good and everything, but it's kind of a culmination between the photographer and the owner. We need to really interview the owners and find out why they bought that property, what's so great about it, the things that they did in the property. I graduated 3 children through this thing, and we went to the school, and these conversations you should have with your clients so that you'll have stories to be able to tell people about what's so great about the property. Photography is key, though, and like I said, it's the most important information that is disseminated when you put it online. Century 21 used to have this really cool slide that had all the different data points and what was most important to buyers when they were looking. It's photography, videography, 3D tours. Actually, I take that back. The second most important thing was accurate descriptions of the property. So all those things, are one of the key points that you should probably put into your presentation while you're doing it. So choosing the right slides that you like to talk about is really important. I have about 23 in my presentation, but a lot of it has to do with photography, technology, and then I talk about the franchise. So and they're also breaking it down like I'm talking to you about. But these are just a little bit wordy as far as the slides are concerned and everything. But I think it's good to be able to have these conversations with the clients. They're talking about decluttering the property, remove anything from the countertops or anything in the bathrooms. All that stuff does, come into play. You don't want to see somebody else's mess when you're, looking through a property. They also talk about, kind of staging well, not staging, but prepping the outside of your home as well. Okay, here we go. So they've kind of split apart some of the different data points and everything for the franchise, and then I think they keep going into the franchise and how we respond to the outside the buyers and sellers and whatnot. So, Bob, I think this is really getting kind of boring. I think you might want to take over from here on out. I mean, the slides, they're kind of self-explanatory. It depends on your presentation, and to be honest with you, I have to update mine, but mine's almost all my own slides and everything. So it's just kind of like the ideas that you want to have and the conversations that you want to have. I can send you guys a presentation that I did, and then you guys can see for yourselves if you like. But this is really if you're just starting with the franchise, I think it's good to walk through these slides and really read through them and kind of figure out which ones you want to talk about or which conversations may meet the expectations of the seller or the buyers, I guess.
Why don't you scroll down to the 12 default pages that come past
Okay.
what you just added?
Okay.
Just cover go ahead and cover those.
Okay. You like, what was that, Irma? Oh, oh, yeah. Well, this right here is the full map page, the listing location map, which is really cool. And in my presentation, and I'm sorry, I know Bob told me to keep this simple, but I usually have a video that describes how to use this particular page. So your property is going to be showcased here, and when you click on these properties, it's supposed to highlight which where their locations are. But for some reason, this one's really zoomed out, so I can't really see all the listings at one time. Not sure why that is, but it should usually be close enough where if you highlight the property, it'll show up on the map. But you can walk through and click on each one of these properties and go through the photography, which is really important. And I tell them, go to the comps portion of the presentation and look at how your property stacks up to the other properties in the area. I actually do a presentation. I call it the 90 days of CMAs, where I'll actually go through the Moxi present and then present and video like screen record all the properties that I think are best suited for their listing. That way, they don't even have to really kind of figure things out themselves, and then they can look through the actual presentation themselves afterwards. But this is a good way for them to kind of see how their property stacks up against other properties in the neighborhood. I think this is that one that was really expensive. Yeah, actually came down in price a little bit, but you can see how this one's maybe a lot more updated than the previous properties that we looked at. So, and that's really where a lot of the power is. Most people that when they have a presentation and they give it to their clients, they're just looking at a few pages and they're looking at maybe the front page of an MLS sheet. I mean, they can look at all the photography, look at all the written comments and data, and also see where those properties are in comparison to yours. So my property's right here. So these are all the properties and how close. And, if there's any disputing, whether this one's a better neighborhood or others, you can see it geographically. Oops. The listing overview is just kind of the same presentation without the map. All you would do is click on the individual tiles, and then you can see the data of the property kind of similarly. I don't really use this one. I'll usually take it out. So I will normally just, hit the remove and it's out of the presentation. And I think Bob wanted to talk about like maybe doing some of the customization of this page. Do you want to handle that one, Bob, or do you want me to go over it?
No, I can't because it's your presentation.
All right, very good. All right. In the side-by-side comparison, there's a lot of data, and you see how long this page is. And it's really not necessary for you to have all that information. Anytime you see a pencil next to the particular topic, you can click on that to edit it, and then like maybe keep remove that information. You don't really need to have an MLS number in there. The land texture, flat, hilly, whatever, you don't need that information. I think that is necessary. The rest is probably necessary. But adjusted price, sold price, a lot of this information you don't need. Therefore, it will take away a lot of the the length of the page and everything for the presentation. Building style, building name, fireplaces, you probably want to have that. Basement, garage, parking, central heat and air, that doesn't matter. Pool. And once you've made all those changes, actually, maybe let me go over the neighborhood section. High school, middle school, that's important. School district, subdivision. I don't think those. After you make those changes, it should redo this page so that information is not so lengthy. Like you see how short that is in comparison? And that's all the data information that you really need. So if you want to shorten that out, that's always nice. And I do like the side-by-side comparison or the status comparison. Both are very similar. Oops, kind of like that. But in this particular case, if by editing this information, you can also take away some of the info to make that one more lengthy sideways. So You have a question? Okay. I like this graph, the home averages, kind of giving you the high, low, and the medium. I would keep that one in. I'm not a real big fan of this graph. I it's very simplistic and everything, and I think the bar is actually showing you days price and days on the market. I don't think it's necessary. I've always taken it out. Pricing versus size, it should be within 20%, so it really shouldn't make a difference. So I always remove that one. This pricing analysis is good, and I would definitely keep that in there so that they can look at that. And under the net proceeds, I mean, you can work this all out. There's a way to adjust the net proceeds, I believe. Um, Bob, does that come from the comp portion of it, or
No, that's if you that note net proceed is where you would actually create a net proceed manually. So if you scroll back up to the top of the page
sure?
and go to estimate,
Oh,
estimate,
create new
estimate next to listings, higher.
hire?
You got
Yes.
subject property search.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Okay, so if you notice, there's a tab that says estimated pricing that you were looking at. Right next to it says estimated net proceed. So
All
the
right.
way Moxie Present is done is there's two ways to do it. For me, if you're brand new, just ask your whatever company you use, title company, whoever you want, you use to say, hey, create me a net sheet. Moxie allows you to create one manually, but you have to know the figures and the percentages, but it lets you create up to three. And the reason it does that, because you may create a traditional net sheet, say, hey, if we sell this home for this price, this is what your potential net sheet is. But then what if you decided to invest $12,000 in upgrading the backyard? We could potentially get a net proceeds back of X amount of dollars because now we've made improvements, or we did the same thing by maybe investing a couple of $1,000s on curb appeal. Maybe you sell the property for $6,000 more, so they're going to net three. So that is where this is designed to do. You create one net sheet, the original, and then you tell it to copy it and make the adjustments for net sheet two and three. But
Yeah.
for me, I would give it rather have a title company do it for me and say, hey, can you create me three net sheets based on these criteria? And then just upload the PDF.
Yeah, I've actually never used the net proceeds page. I have an app on my phone and it generates a PDF and I email it to myself.
Right.
So,
So it's easy to do it that way. So usually that page I just take out.
all right. So we can take that out as well. And then the agent profile, all the information data that you have on your on Dash should show up here. So any write up, um, phone calls, all your contact information should all be on there. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And then if you want to send this, whoops, I got to move Bob over. If you want to send it to your clients, you can email them the presentation, or if you want to take a look at it, see the web view or the print view, you can look at it from there. So,
So what I suggest with all you brand new agents or brand spanking new to the business, don't put the Century 21 listing presentation in. Create your 12-page default presentation. Get used to the point where you can create those 12 pages. They're the default pages. Get used to finding the comps, putting all the information, sending it. The faster you get, the more and more you get, you can go in, create a default 12 page, send it. Now you've already won 90% of the battle because on a pinch, you know you can just send that out. Then what you do is you decide you add the pages like Mitz did at the end, so they show up at the bottom of your presentation, and you start removing them. But instead of adding the whole presentation, you add page by page, whichever pages you want, and then you save it as a template. So once you saved it as a template, you've actually customized your presentation that you don't have to reinvent the wheel the second time. It's already done because the template has saved it, which will save you a lot of time. Hey, Mitch, I did have a question from Gina. It says, how do you add the pages from Century 21 Find Homes? If you can go back to add a page.
sure. Let me get out of this thing. So we're going to create new, and we're going to
Nope,
upload.
nope,
Oops,
nope. Add from library.
sorry.
Mitch gets ahead of himself.
One step too early. So I think the Fine Homes and Estates should be under, what
Century
is it?
21.
Yeah. And I don't know how they have the folders. Here it is, Fine Homes and Estates listings.
Click on that
Wow,
one.
50.
Yeah, we're not going to select all of them, but
No.
select, let's say, the tablet version because we want to do it online.
Hmm.
And let's say just do want to open up any one of them.
Let's do above and beyond. Let's see what that looks like.
So if
Hmm.
this is the page that you want to use in your presentation as a cover, then if you look on the top right hand corner, there's an add button and you click
Yep.
add. What that will do is that'll add that page at the bottom of your default 12 page. And so you add the rest and then you start sliding them in the position that you want, which will make your life a little bit easy. Instead of adding the whole presentation and going through, for me, that's how Mitch does it. For me, I would go through, look at each one and says, okay, I don't want that one. I want that one. Add it one by one. But this is how you basically would add your pages on the regular presentation, the Spanish presentation, or the Find Home and Estates presentation. And the same thing is
I
if you have a PDF presentation, if you upload it, all those pages get added to the bottom, and then you just go rearrange them in the order that you want. Hopefully that
Perfect.
answers that question, Gina. And perfect. Okay, does anybody have any questions on chat? Because everybody's so quiet. I'm gonna unmute everybody just in case they do. Pat, are you doing okay over there? You're not smiling. Shanna's not smiling, so we got a problem. Yeah. Amber turned off her monitor so we can't see her. Lisa, are we doing okay? Okay. Gina, anything?
Yeah, so my only question would be, so I get how to add them, and then I went to do the presentation. It said that page is not available, even though I added it from our Find Homes. That just happens sometimes where it's not allowed.
It could. I honestly couldn't tell you. I know what I did at one time is I went in and I created a blank presentation, added the entire Century 21 presentation without any property. So there's a present that you can do that is non-listing. It only has the cover sheet and your contact information. So what I did is I went in and added the entire all the pages, save as view as save as PDF and downloaded it. The reason I did that is I printed it out and I went through each page by page and says, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want this one. And then once I had the pages I wanted in the order I wanted, I just rescanned them as a PDF and uploaded them
Okay.
instead of going through one by one, opening it one by one. But there may have been a glitch that day you were trying to do something. I honestly couldn't tell you, but it would typically work how Mitch just did it.
Because Miss, that was awesome. I saw pages today that I don't normally see, and I hate all the fluff that we normally have in these presentations. So,
Oh, so that
you
means
know,
you don't want me to have Mitch do the presentation again because he'll put a lot of fluff in there. I am straight to the point, and he'll just fill it all in.
Well, I'm a real estate agent. We're full of ourselves, you know what I mean? So,
And the reason I had Mitch do it because he understands that part. For me, for being marketing, I don't like all that fluff. It's like, hey, let's get to the data, let's get to the point, because at the end of the day, when the market is the way it is, not like it was a couple of years ago, it's like, okay, we got to get right to the point and get the data that we want. But the advantage with Moxie Present is if you learn how to set it up first the right time, right way, adjust all your settings and then add the pages you want to page, rearrange it the way you want, and save it as a template. That means that work you will never have to do because every time you do a presentation, all you got to do is go create a new one, use that personal template, just find all the properties you want to use for the presentation, and everything else is already done. The biggest
perfect.
mistake most agents do is they don't make templates. They don't.
And
They
then one other just quick question for you guys, because the market has changed, and I'm hearing, people are saying, drop off a presentation like, on the doorstep the day before you do. I know you mentioned, we get a lot of phone calls before we do the presentations. Can you talk just a second about how you guys prefer that?
I can.
Go ahead.
Um, what I usually do is, when you make first contact with the clients and everything, immediately I'll pull up the property profile, and I'll work all my comps, and I'll set up my initial meeting presentation, and then I will send them that presentation, like I said, with that kind of wide range, and then email it to them. The traditional Moxie present. And that's how I usually get in. They'll look at all the information, and then when we go over it, they'll usually bring up the information about, questions that they have about maybe their amenities, things like that. Or if there's an individual page that's on there that they want to kind of touch on, like the marketing or the photography, then, they'll bring that up in the presentation. And then after I've seen their property and talked to them, I'll send them a second presentation, which just has the comps on the property and narrowed down into a smaller window. I'll write in the comments about what their strategies should be and what they should key in on. And then, we'll usually do contracts after that. There's a page that was in the old CMA that talks about what you should prepare before the real estate agent comes in. And it's like, PG&E bills, 3 sets of keys and stuff like that. When you show up for the second presentation and they slide you that stuff, you got that listing. So I really wish they would work that one page back in. I'll have to find it, and then we'll probably have to recycle it somehow.
Because the only thing that I've been seeing is, usually you're at the table and, here's the contract sign. And in today's buyers, they're just not quite doing that the way they used to, 6 months ago.
Yeah, well,
One of the biggest thing is getting that presentation to them so they can look at it, because if everybody else has got 5 or 6 pages printed from the MLS and you've given them a digital version, I honestly would want to meet the person that did that before I made a decision on who I wanted to hire. At least say, hey,
yeah.
out of all of these 5 people, one gave me a digital presentation, everybody else was regular sheets. One of the things you also want to do is, I'm going to share my screen real quick before and not take up too much time, is on your regular Moxie present, when you have your default 12 pages, on the listing overview tab, there's a pencil mark. The reason why this is important is if you hit on the listing overview where it shows the properties, hit that pencil mark, there's an option right here, usually always defaulted to show. So what happens is, let's say those 5 properties that I have showing you all have 100 pictures. If you don't fix this and you go to print the PDF, it's going to print 20, I believe 20 pictures per page of additional PDF sheets, because we didn't tell it, I only want the listing page with one photo and the listing. I don't want the additional pictures. Me as a marketing person, I would disable that. The reason why is because I would tell the clients, hey, if you'd like to see the additional photos, go ahead and look at the online presentation, because you can open them on your computer and see them full screen. It makes no sense for me to print them out where you see 20 per sheet and you can't even see all the details. But you're saving a lot of print and color. So I would turn it off. So now all you will get is just that presentation. So if I close this off and if I go to view, print, I'm going to show you real quick. Hopefully it doesn't take forever to load. I streamlined some of the pages. All it's going to do is show you each listing with one photo, not all the additional pictures. So if we go to that section right here, comp one, comp two, that's all it's going to show. It's going to take all those additional pictures, which will save you a lot of printing. And then, like I said, I tell everybody, you're welcome to look online. I sent you the presentation. Take a look at all the additional photos. So hopefully that helps too. That's
That's
super.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions out there, folks? Mitch,
Hold on, Bob.
great
I
job.
just
I
got a
don't know if you're
question.
scared to ask, or Shanna looks like she's scared to ask. We're gonna have Shanna as a guest speaker one day. Shanna, what do you
Mhm.
want to talk about next week?
Oh, Irma was
Campaign
just
is so
asking.
good. He's like, just kidding.
No worries.
Uh,
Okay, so we're gonna end this meeting right now. If anybody has any particular training, you guys can always find me and Mitz on the Century 21 Global Facebook group. Just type in MITS or type in Bob, you'll find me. Trust me, I'm everywhere. And contact us if you feel free, and let us know if there's any particular training you'd like us to do, because whatever I do for you guys also benefits our agents and our offices too. So hopefully this helped. You guys have an amazing weekend. And Amber, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you guys have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. If you